The trail of the 3rd Army and the 19th Tactical Air Command of the 8th Air Force is marked by more than 40,000 white crosses. 40,000 dead Americans.
We were young and soldiers called to dedicate our lives in the name of God and country. Do what's just for us, go do what's right. A hot band of brothers waiting on our chance to add one more page unto the victory dance. Here am I, Lord, send me, send me. Victory lies in the spirit of the lives of the men who died for me.
Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, here am I. Send me.
This is Michael Broderick, Marine Corps veteran, actor, and Gallant Few board member. You are listening to the New American Veteran on Vets on Media. Now here's Carl Monger.
Thank you, Michael. I'm not getting any sound out of that. Let me make sure this is working. All right, there we go. Now I can hear myself. Thank you, Michael. I'm your host, Carl Monger. Welcome to the New American Veteran. Today is Wednesday, April 16th, 2014, and the purpose of this show is to talk transition, what works, what doesn't, and what resources are out there and how to tap into them. We have got a great show today that is full of content, and I'm going to be balancing things right and left. Hopefully none of these glass balls will get dropped and land on the floor. We're going to talk to Hope for the Warriors. We're going to talk to the gentleman that started the Spartan race, and we're going to have some Ranger veterans from Legion Operator Training Group that are come on board and talk too. So, and I'm going to introduce the guest that's sitting across from me here in just a moment. But first, I do this at the beginning of every show. I talk about the fact that our show is dedicated to someone, and I talk about why. Usually, it's a casualty. Today, it is not a casualty. Today, the show is dedicated to former Army Sergeant Kyle White. And I'm going to read this press release that just came out this morning. This is Timeline, Washington. Former Army Sergeant Kyle J. White will be awarded the Medal of Honor at a White House ceremony on May 13th, 2014. The White House announced late Tuesday afternoon. White, 27, will receive the nation's highest military award for his actions during a dismounted movement in mountainous terrain in, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Aranas, Afghanistan, November 9, 2007. White was serving, and I'm going to read this whole thing because I think it's incredibly important that everybody out there hears the heroics, understands what is happening in the war and what has happened. White was serving as a platoon radio telephone operator assigned to Company C, 2nd Battalion, Airborne 503rd Infantry Regiment, 173rd Airborne Brigade, when his team of U.S. and Afghan National Army soldiers were set up and ambushed by a much larger and more heavily armed Taliban force after a meeting with Afghan villagers. There was one shot, down into the valley, and then it was two shots, and then it was full automatic fire and RPGs. It was coming from multiple directions, White later recalled, according to an Army news release. White was knocked unconscious by a rocket-propelled grenade that landed near him. When he woke up, 10 of the 14-man American element and the A&A soldiers were gone. To avoid the enemy fire, they had been forced to slide 150 feet down the side of a rocky cliff. White noticed that his teammate, Specialist Kane Schilling, had been shot in the arm. After White and Schilling found cover under a tree, White put a tourniquet on Schilling and stopped the bleeding. Then White saw Marine Sergeant Philip Box lying out in the open, badly wounded. White sprinted 30 feet across open ground under a hail of bullets to reach Box. White made 4 runs out in the open to drag Box out of the line of fire. He succeeded, but Box eventually succumbed to his wounds. Soon afterward, Schilling got hit in the leg by small arms fire. White again saved his life, using his belt as a tourniquet to stop the bleeding. Then White noticed his platoon leader, First Lieutenant Matthew C. Ferreira, lying face down on the trail, motionless. White again exposed himself to fire and crawled to Ferreira's position. After he realized Ferrer was already dead, White returned to Shillingsside and began using his radio until an enemy round blew the hand mic out of his hand and disabled the radio. White grabbed box radio and used it to bring in mortars, artillery, airstrikes, and helicopter gun runs to keep the enemy at bay. Friendly fire gave him his second concussion of the day when a mortar round landed too close and knocked him off his feet. After nightfall, White marked the landing zone and assisted the flight medic in hoisting the wounded Americans and Afghans into the helicopter. White would not allow himself to be evacuated until everyone else was in a position to leave. 6 American service members died in the battle. White, a native of Seattle, separated from the Army on July 8, 2011, and used his GI Bill to attend the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. He now works as an investment analyst in Charlotte. White, whose father was a Special Forces soldier during the Vietnam era, will be the 7th living recipient to be awarded the Medal of Honor for actions in Iraq or Afghanistan. He and his family will join President Barack Obama at the White House for the presentation ceremony. Well, there's a couple of amazing things that are in that write-up, and from the heroics, from having the hand mic shot out of his hand, from seeing people die around him, and for him to be able to continue the fight, that's just an absolutely amazing story. It should be something that motivates you. It should be something that when you think about how tough your day is, think about it, how tough his day was on that particular day. And then one more thing I want to bring out real quick, and that is he didn't graduate from the Army. He didn't, I don't know what the right term is, he separated. Okay, so when you talk about, and this is common among transitioning from the military, you separate or you're discharged. There are no real positive terms except for maybe retirement that apply to leaving the military. So it's just amazing. Okay, so I probably should have done this at the beginning, but I'm pleased to have in the studio with me today Ann Bardwell. She is the Senior Director of Communications for Hope for the Warriors. Ann, welcome to the New American Veteran.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
You had to sit there and listen to me talk and talk and talk.
It was no struggle. That was wonderful. What an amazing, amazing story, and I'm so glad he's being honored for it.
One of the things that continues to amaze me is the heroism of these young soldiers, the circumstances that they get put in, and even friendly fire knocked him off his feet and gave him a concussion. And one of these days, maybe I'll get White on the radio here so I can talk to him about his experiences. But how do you go from all of that to being an investment analyst?
You know, it did seem a little, I was a little surprised by that, but you know, it's, those skills transition so well to so many careers. He's strong, he's smart, he doesn't give up, he's thorough, he's a team player, he's all of those things. And that's what our service members have. Those are the qualities they have, and it does transition very well into a lot of different careers.
So as we get started, tell me about Hope for the Warriors. What is Hope for the Warriors?
Hope for the Warriors is a national nonprofit organization that assists and supports military families, specifically post 9/11 service members wounded in action, either physical or psychological wounds, their families and families of the fallen. And really what we stress is the entire family. Fallen families can include spouses, it can include parents, kids. There is a lot of need out there for these families. You know, there was just a major report about caregivers, you know, taking care of the people who are taking care of our service members. They all serve together, and that's really what we aim to do. And our tagline is restoring self, family, and hope, and that's what we aim. We don't like to wallow in pity. You know, our service members don't need pity. But there are programs that need to be put in place to restore to bring their lives back to where it was.
How long has Hope for the Warriors been in business?
We were founded in 2006 by military wives. These were women who were on the front lines. They knew what was going on personally. And so it is a very, very personal grassroots organization. We have about a little more than 70% of our staff is either a veteran or a military family member.
The organization, does it discriminate's not the right term. Is it selective in the population of veterans you serve? Will you work with the Vietnam era veteran family, or is it mostly post 9/11?
It's mostly post 9/11. Now, I will tell you for some of our programs, and then that's mainly because we really focus on the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking at Vietnam veterans, they are past that transition point. Yep. And so if there is a program that is more generalized, of course Vietnam veterans are welcome. Now, I will say this. Our largest supporter is that Vietnam veteran.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of Vietnam veterans have come in as volunteers working with our service members, and by doing that, it has done a huge amount for their emotional recovery as well.
You know, that's an amazing thing that you just talked about there, and something that I have noticed repeatedly. The best way that you can heal yourself is to help somebody else heal.
Absolutely.
And getting outside of your own cocoon or your own immediate situation. I keep checking my phone because I've got my remote technical staff that's making sure that everything is live and well, and they're telling me that everything is working. So we're good. All right, we're going to take a break from talking about Hope for the Warriors for a minute, and I've got a couple of things I want to play, and then I'm going to bring on the first guest, Joe DeSena, and I hope I'm saying that right. He's founder of the Spartan race, and he's got a new book that is just about to be released. So before that, though, First Saturdays. We've been talking about First Saturdays for a long time, and one of the key things about First Saturdays is it's free unless you want to buy breakfast. You can just drink water if you don't have any money. But somebody in your neighborhood, your local community, has got to say, preferably a veteran, says, hey, I'm going to start a First Saturday in this area. Go identify a place to have breakfast, announce the time, put it on Facebook, let me know so we can spread the word around here. And then you have things happen like this.
This is Brandy Mai. Join us for the First Saturday Veterans Breakfast every first Saturday of the month at Perkins Restaurant on I-95 and Highway 204 at 9 a.m. If you want to find us on Facebook, look up facebook.com/groups/First Saturday Savannah. See you there.
All right, so that is Savannah, Georgia, First Saturdays. And that started with a handful of Rangers getting together. The one that I went to about a year ago had, I think, 6 Rangers and some family members that came. And they have now Brandy, who is a veteran herself, has joined in with the group, and she's helping to give it a little bit of publicity and spread the word. And I think they had about 24 that came to it last time. The first Saturday here in the North Dallas-Fort Worth area, I just announced a couple of days ago on Facebook, it's going to be in this little place called Dove Creek Cafe that is in gosh, I'm drawing a complete blank. It's not Trophy Club, but it is Roanoke, which is right next door to us. And unfortunately, I am going to be in D.C. when that happens. So I've got another veteran that is in the area here named Chris. He's going to be the point of contact for that. But we're working on seeing how many veterans can come out. And again, the whole point of First Saturday is that it is predictable, it's routine, it is not a high-stress event. You just come, hang around, drink a cup of coffee, talk to some other veterans for an hour Saturday morning, the first Saturday of each month, and then you're done. And you'll make friends that way. You'll develop some emotional support contacts. You'll expand your network, and then should you ever need help with that job or some other thing that you're networking through, you're going to be able to talk to that group of people, new friends. There's another organization called Objective Rally Point that kind of spun off the First Saturday idea, and this is in Washington, D.C. So now listen here to Lee Dougherty real quick.
Hey, this is Lee Dougherty. I'm founder and host of Objective Rally Point, a networking event that meets in the D.C. area on the 4th Tuesday of every month at the Army-Navy Country Club. The April event will have Wild Bill Weiss, who's a Marine Navy Cross recipient, Battalion Commander at the Battle of Dido, who will be speaking to us and inspiring us, and expect to have well over 100 folks out for that morning. And in May, we'll have an event in Foggy Bottom at the National Veterans Center and support that organization, which is doing such great work for veterans. And on through the 4th Tuesday of every month, we'll have our breakfast at the Army-Navy Country Club. If you can come out, join us. If there's anything we can do for you, if you're not in the D.C. area, we're happy to help and coordinate and do anything we can for our fellow brothers and sisters, veterans, and those that support them.
All right, we recorded that just a couple of days ago at the Best Ranger competition, so you heard in the background they were starting to announce the next event. Okay, so those of you that are watching on video just saw me get a phone call, and I grabbed it because I figured that was who it was, because I'm like 3 minutes late calling Joe, and he's like, "Hey, are you going to call me?" So I'm going to ring him up on the line right now. Let's see if we can get Joe on the phone. Plus, he gave me a different phone number to call, so hopefully this will run right through to him.
Hey there.
Joe, Carl Monger, you are live on the New American Veteran.
Awesome.
How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. I appreciate your patience with me. It's funny, I was telling, because we also do this live simulcast through YouTube. Those of you that saw me answer the phone, it's because I'm like 3 minutes late calling Joe, and he's like, "Hey, are you going to call me?" Hey, founder of the Spartan race and author with a book soon to come out. Joe, what got all that started?
Hi, you want to go way back? We'll go back. I'll do it real fast. Young kid growing up in Queens. Dad had everything and lost it. And my neighbor was a pretty high-level organized crime figure I didn't know. But he took a liking to me, and he asked me to clean his swimming pool, which I did, to start to make some money because my dad had lost everything. And that led to me cleaning 750 pools for people that were either killed or went to jail. Wow. And for a while, before that would happen, they were great customers. And so we built this big business until the time I was 25, then went to Wall Street and had a great run, knock on wood, on Wall Street, but completely different lifestyle, started to get fat, started to focus on the wrong things, and found adventure racing, found these crazy races. The crazier they were, the more interested I was in them, traveling all around the world doing them. And every time I would go on one, 5, 8, 10, 15-day expeditions, I would say, "Man, could I live here?" And I ended up meeting my wife at a race, and we ended up moving to Vermont because of that. And while in Vermont, I was contemplating how powerful and life-changing those races were, and could we start our own series? And so we did, and Spartan Race was born. And I said, I'm not going to invest more than $50,000 in it, and I'm not going to put a lot of time into it. I'm going to have somebody else run it. And I nearly bankrupted us with all the money we had to put into it. And I'm now sitting in my kitchen 20 hours a day doing emails and phone calls. So it didn't exactly turn out as planned, but it's a great business, and we changed a lot of lives, so it's awesome.
There's a quote that I absolutely love that I picked up from you yesterday, and it says, "Death is the price we pay for life, so make it worth it."
Yeah.
That's
right.
That really sums it all up, I guess.
That's it right there.
So tell me about your new book that's coming out, Spartan Up, a Take No Prisoners Guide to Overcoming Obstacles and Achieving Peak Performance.
So this idea started back when I was cleaning swimming pools for mobsters, that what makes somebody, outwork somebody else. I was trying to hire kids and to work for me, and invariably I was disappointed. They quit. They couldn't work the hours I wanted them to work, or in some cases the customers didn't like who I was bringing in their backyard. And so I just started thinking about it back then, like what makes this somebody from a third world country work so much harder than somebody right from the neighborhood that I'm trying to get to work for me. And the other interesting thing that, I had these 750 customers, and it was kind of like a social experiment. I became very friendly with them. I was able to go over their house to barbecues, walk into their kitchen, and I got to watch how they lived their lives, all across, Italians, Germans, Jewish people, you name it, Hispanics, and see who made mistakes, who did things right. And so I've been really writing this book for 30 years, and it's kind of this guide to what has made me successful, the way I define success. Everybody defines success differently, and just giving people these tools that I think have stood the test of time for 5,000 years. It's no quick pill. It's not a 4-hour solution to all of a sudden making it rich. It's unfortunately for me, because we're selling the book, it's really going to tell you that you got to work hard. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, to go from the business of cleaning pools to investments, and then into business for yourself doing the races. I'm drawing some parallels here between military service, because most of my audience, about 99.9% of it's military. You have a group that succeeded in the military, did some pretty cool things in the military, kind of like you succeeded as an investment guy. And then when they leave active duty and they go back home, there's this expectation that something should maybe be given to them. They don't have to work as hard as they used to work. When you left investment banking, even though you had a nest egg that you could put into this business, that didn't mean that you didn't have to work hard.
No, I've always, I remember my dad had a friend who was extremely wealthy, and he drove a broken down Honda. And I remember saying to my dad as a young kid, "Why? I don't understand. Why is he driving that?" And he said, "Well, his parents grew up in the Depression, and he saw some of that, and it's never changed the way his brain is wired." And I would say because I watched my dad lose everything, I'm just always worried about tomorrow. I just never rest on laurels, and always a little protective. And so I think it's the reason a lot of people fail is you live outside the box, and you're not worried about tomorrow. You're eating all your cookies today, and I'm not wired that way.
It's a couple of quotes that come from the forward of your book that I picked up on yesterday, and I wanted to talk about those real quick here if you have another minute.
Yeah, I got 20 minutes.
Awesome. The first one is, do that enough times, break through obstacles safely, and eventually you get this sense of security, whether false or not, that you're going to be all right if you just push through it. And I think this came after the story where you talked about where you spent a freezing night in the snow, and the way you got a little warmer was by burrowing further into the snow so that you could be out of the wind. You want to talk about what's that mentality? Do it enough times that you get a sense of security.
Yeah, well, and maybe this is not the perfect analogy, but I have a lot of, up here in Vermont, we have a lot of young people that I recruit up that I want to help start businesses. I feel like I was fortunate, I got lucky, and I want to help others. And, a very large percentage of businesses fail, especially new businesses. And I would say that happens because people are so concerned about all those little details of, like in the story you just described in the book, where all the reasons it might not work. And I've always just pushed forward. And so what I'm describing there is this idea that you push forward, you don't die, it works out okay. Look, if you're dead, it doesn't matter anyway. So if you get through it, you start to realize that, you know what, you pretty much can get through anything in this life. It's not like you're walking outside and being chased by lions. So go for it, right? And if once you've been through a few of them, once you've gotten through a few of those obstacles and you've seen it work and turn out okay, you start to get a little more confident. You start to build something we coined obstacle immunity, and it just makes life a much better place.
Obstacle immunity, that's an interesting term.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is valuable about what you're talking about, and this is common when you get into some of the more specialized or more, even front lines is not the right term to use in the military, but when somebody goes into a unit where they have to jump out airplanes, or they become a Ranger, or they become a Navy SEAL, or a MARSOC person, that they go through such intense training scenarios that when they get into another situation, it's not as bad as what they've been through before. And when I think about what the things that you put together in the Spartan race, there are folks out there that may never have the opportunity to really truly test mentally and physically what they're capable of. And when they get a chance to do that, then next week when the boss is yelling at you, you can go, "Oh, this is nothing, because a week ago I was freezing, I was electrocuted, I was whatever, and I made it through that. So this is easy stuff."
It's all frame of reference, right? And I talk about it in the book. For the guy in the third world. Oh, am I getting feedback?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. For the guy in the third world country, he just wants food, water, shelter. So his frame of reference is completely different than the guy that has everything he ever wanted. And so that's what you're talking about. If you've been through that, if you've been through the war, everything else is easy.
Exactly.
You can't get upset over coffee being cold, or car not starting, or children screaming. Like, you've been through the war.
Right.
Right?
Right. No, that's exactly right. The other quote that I pulled out, challenging yourself to accomplish more than you know you can is never stupid. It helps to show what you are capable of. It creates a new frame of reference, which we just talked about, one you can draw on in the face of other things that are perceived as being tough in your life. It shows you possibilities you did not know existed. How does somebody get involved if they want to participate in a Spartan race? How do they find out where one is, and how do they do it?
First of all, your listeners have done much tougher things than Spartan race. So anybody that's been deployed or even been through basic training can handle this. This is easy stuff, relatively speaking.
Yeah, you know what, though? When you're talking about somebody like me, I left active duty 20 years ago, and a year ago I had total right hip replacement, and I've had back surgery and all these other things. But I want to get out and I want to do things because my frame of reference starts to get a little blurred.
Soft.
Yeah, a little numb. So I need to be able to go out and re-challenge myself.
Well, SpartanRace.com, you could look up a race in your area. We're all over the world. Number one. Number two, and this may sound silly, but we put out a workout of the day. So if you followed our workout, it'd be great. But somebody like you that has some injuries, highly recommend yoga, Bikram yoga specifically, which is hot yoga, and that'll really just start to fix and repair your entire body. And obviously you're gonna incorporate the running, the lifting, the pull-ups, the burpees and things, but Bikram yoga, start there and get everything fixed first. So
the workout of the day, do you have to like pay a subscription fee to get that, or can you just get it off your website?
No, we do. We have a free download going out to over 500,000 people a day.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
It's a methodical system. I was in a bad car accident. I went out the window of a car at 85 miles an hour. My leg was ripped out of my hip, and they had to break my hip and put it back in. And so I've done my own studies on myself, and we've got a doctor that works with us, and we've come up with what we think is a pretty amazing system for getting in shape and staying in shape. And so we download that to people for free.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. I might even, I definitely will add that to a blog post and push that out, because one of the challenges that a lot of veterans have is they're used to every morning they get up at 6 o'clock, you have your morning formation and everybody gets together and does physical training. And when you leave active duty, now all of a sudden you don't have that team that gets back together, and the first sergeant or the platoon sergeant's out in front saying, okay, today we're going to do a 2-mile run and we're going to do this and that. So sometimes you get a little bit lost, and having a workout of the day like that is a great way to have a plan and know what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, and to be able to talk to other people that may not be right next to you like they used to be about how'd you do during the workout.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so where do you get your book? When is it available?
SpartanUpTheBook.com.
SpartanUpTheBook.com. All right. Well, thank you for. Go ahead.
I have
Sorry.
massive military envy. So anybody out there that wants the book or feels they're a little short on money or whatever, just email me, joe@spartan.com. I'll send you a book.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. And one of these days, do you ever do one in Dallas?
We're coming to Dallas year-end, I believe. Yep.
If you come here, I'd like to buy you a beer or a hamburger, or whatever works. You're probably too healthy for hamburgers.
I ate a hamburger and had 2 beers once during an Ironman. So I was so hungry and I was in so much pain. I took aspirin and the pain wasn't going away, and I had this crazy idea. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get drunk while I'm running, and it worked.
Beautiful. Joe, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, and stay in touch.
All right, I certainly will. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey guys, this is Tom Momentum from Ranger Up. We're listening to Carl Monger on Veterans on Media for the Gallant Few.
All right, I am wildly pushing buttons here to make sure that I get. I jumped over a couple of things that I was going to say before. Actually, not very much, but I want to make sure I got Joe on in a timely manner here. The first thing I want to talk about real quick is RangerS5.com. The Ranger S5 folks reached out to me a couple of days ago and said that they wanted to put out a sticker for it's a limited quantity and for a limited time they're doing a sticker that's in the shape of a scroll, and in the middle of the scroll is the name of every Ranger that has died in combat operations since the 1st Ranger Battalion started in 1974. And so the whole, it's like tiny newsprint when you see the names in there, and the stickers are, I don't know, $5 a piece, I think. But about half of the selling price of that sticker, they're rolling up into a donation to Gallant Few. Complete surprise to me, and an awesome thing. Very humbling to be a part of something like this. But the Ranger S5 guys, they get what Gallant Few is doing, and they're supporting that effort in not only words but also in deeds. So go to rangersfive.com. You'll see, you can't miss it when you go to rangersfive.com. It's all over the main page. And pick up a sticker and pay tribute and honor to those Rangers that have passed on combat operations. I want to say real quick on the Gallant Few side, our meat and potatoes, if you will, in the world of transition is, regardless of the branch of service that you came from, regardless of what your experiences were, there's somebody else in your community that has been through something very, very similar, and you're not connected to them. And one of you has probably transitioned prior and now is an accountant, attorney, owns a business, is a sales guy or gal, and the other one maybe is just leaving active duty. And our dream with Gallant Few is that every veteran that leaves active duty and goes to whichever community they choose to call home, that they are greeted and welcomed by a veteran who is a virtual carbon copy of themselves, only older in terms of separation from the military and in their own transition. Not necessarily older in terms of age. But when you think about somebody that, I just had a phone conversation yesterday with an 06 that has bounced in and out of active duty time. He did some time on active duty, then left, went in the reserve system. And he is currently now, he's come off of an active duty stint, and he's trying to figure out, where do I go and what do I do? And I'll tell you, if you have an 06 out there that is working through that, if you have an E4 that is out there that is working through that, the problems are identical. They might be on a little bit of a different scale, because you would think that the 06 might have a little bit more education and maybe a broader network, but the principles are the same. So, and to give you just a real quick example, let's say you've got a Ranger that's leaving active duty from Fort Benning, Georgia, and they plan to live in Kansas City, Kansas. Well, when that Ranger, before they even leave active duty, we want to have a conversation with that Ranger about what to expect during transition and how they can more effectively encompass the resources that are out there to help them transition more effectively. And then we want to have that mentor Ranger that's in the Kansas City area greet them when they get there, take them to their Rotary Club, their Chamber of Commerce, their church men's group, their golfing buddies, whoever they socialize with, and connect that new veteran to them professionally. You develop immediately a relationship that helps in a number of different ways, from emotional support to professional support. When you think about the biggest issues that face veterans today is being isolated, and we want to stop that isolation right off the bat. So I can talk about that forever and ever, but I'm going to jump off of that and go on to the next subject, and we're about ready to call up our next guest. Before I do that, though, tonight you need to tune into Fox Sports 1 on television. I'm not sure what channel it is, because it's going to be different in every one of your communities, because it's only one that comes through on the cable channels. But the Ultimate Fighter, the tough finale, is tonight, and between 6 and 9 o'clock Central Time, they're going to feature, the fights, the Ultimate Fighter finale, and the highlight of the evening is going to be the last fight. It's a co-headline fight, and Ranger veteran Tim Kennedy is going to take on the Brit Michael Bisping. And I don't know how many of you follow Ranger Up, but if you watch some of their videos, and by the way, for those of you that are watching on tape, I have my Ranger Up shirt on today that also has the theme for our show on the back. It is Here I Am, Send Me, and I'm even wearing my Ranger Up jeans, and if they made Ranger Up shoes, I'd probably be wearing those too. But tonight is the night Tim Kennedy finally fights Michael Bisping. There has been a lot of very fun videos and a lot of almost irreverent. I guess you probably could say that it's not almost, it is, in terms of some of the fun they've had with Bisbing, and deserved on Bisbing's part, because he has done some pretty audacious things in the ring that might call into question. So I'm not going to go into all of that. You can watch the Ranger Up videos. Go to rangerup.com, and we're proud to be supported by and friends of the Ranger Up guys. And speaking of that, Ranger Up has this new program called Veteran Entrepreneurship Program. Let's hear Tommy Amenta talk about that real quick.
This is Carl Monger. This is our version of Gallant Few's Man on the Street interview. I'm standing here with Tommy Amenta,
What's going
COO
on, brother?
of Ranger Up. How are you, Tommy?
Doing really well, Carl. Doing really well.
What's new in the Ranger Up world?
Well, we talked the other night, and we're hot and heavy into trying to find the next great veteran entrepreneur. The crowdsourcing effort that we had was a success. We raised the money necessary to be able to bring in a budding veteran entrepreneur who's got a great idea, who wants to come in and refine their business plan, learn how to run a business. And so right now, if you go to therhinoden.com and search veteran entrepreneur, you'll find all the requirements. You can also go to indiegogo.com/rangerup, and you'll see on our update what all the requirements are to be for the program. And right now, we're just trying to find the right person. We're trying to find that person who's going to come in with a really good attitude, work really, really hard, be motivated, be dedicated. I mean, basically, and I'm not trying to be disparaging to anyone, but we're looking for that awesome PFC that came out of basic training that is just hungry to be, for them it was to be a soldier or to be a Marine or to be a sailor. For us, we're looking for someone who is hungry to learn and really wants to be able to, in a year after they come in, take the reins and run their own small business.
How many have you had apply so far?
We have had, I believe we've had 2 formal packets come through. I think that's where we're at right now. We've had a lot of interest. The thing that's sort of interesting to me is that some people seem to think that this is just like they just sort of fill out a form. Yeah, and it's not. We need to see what the best that you have for your business plan. I need your resume. I need your DD-214, and also what we're asking people to do is send in a video, because in order, the deal that we made with our fans is we need your help to fund this because it's expensive, but you're going to be able to see every step of the way in the journey for this veteran entrepreneur, from the time that we pick them to the time that they're out on their own and we toss them the keys to their new, business. So, that's been a little bit, I'm sort of surprised that there's been a little bit of a question or concern there. But we're not trying to blow someone up. We just want people to be able to see what we're doing. We want to demonstrate that we're being good stewards with 800 people's money.
Yeah, we talked about that a minute ago. That the minute that somebody actually they're not buying something.
Yes.
When they give you their money, trusting you to do something with it, that changes things.
It does, and it's it's a little scary, because if I have a bad shirt, it happens every now and then. We send out thousands of shirts a week. I can fix that. I can get you a new product. But I can't fix, for lack of a better term, someone who's disappointed with the program. I don't, and so far the response has been great. We've gotten so many people as, hey, I donated, when's the first webisode? And we keep telling them, hey, this is what we're going through. And Nick and I are actually contemplating sort of, we did a video to show, other requirements, but sort of going through it and things like that. It is coming. But it does. It's funny. We were talking about that last night. I actually talked to Larry over at Lead the Way Fund, and he's like, it's really different when it's not your money or it's not your idea. And we were just kind of chuckling about it. But I'm excited about the challenge too. I'm really excited for people to see the effort that Ranger Up is putting in, because to us, we've always firmly believed that you give back more to your community than you take. Look, I'm a businessman. I need to make money to continue to run the company, and I want the company to do well. I want the company to grow. I want the company to continue to make more money. But to us, there's always been a right way and a wrong way to do it. And one of the right way is, okay, it's coming down, supporting events like this at the Best Ranger competition, because this is where Nick and I grew up. Supporting Gallant Few and some of the other initiatives that you and I talked about, are the way that, Lead the Way, and just some of the other charitable, we're giving back to our community. We want it to be better, because veterans have issues, veterans have challenges. And for us, Nick and I are we've done all right at this online business thing. We've learned some lessons, and he left RTB as an instructor. I was an instructor for over a decade in the National Guard. We're sort of naturally teacher centric. So it's so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our 1% in veterans, and our goal is to try and turn them into the other 1%. And then they understand they come in the program. When you're successful, and we really believe they will, pay it forward. So
what's the suspension or the suspense date, the cutoff?
You know what? It's sort of, It's not firm yet. I think that the suspense date is probably going to end up being somewhere around the 1st to the 15th of June, because I want people to have a chance to get, one guy that called us like, hey, I did my first video, it's not great. I'm like, look, one, dude, I don't need an Oscar-winning short or anything like that for a documentary, but just, if you're concerned about it, just, talk to yourself in the mirror. It sounds stupid, but that's how a lot of people in that world, do it.
Your
just
friends watch that video.
Yeah.
Let them tell you if it's dumb.
To see. So we are sensitive to the fact that we want to make sure people have the opportunity. So probably right around there. Plus, Tim Kennedy's fighting Michael Bisping for the Tough Nations.
A couple of days.
A couple of days, and so that has been a very large, time tax on the company. Me being here at Best Ranger, when your executive team are both in 2 different places at the same time for a few days, and then also, we had to run the campaign to crowdsource the money. So we did that. Then, we sort of had to move it around. Like, okay, well, it lives here in this budget. Like all these things that you don't think about, which again is why we want to bring someone in. Why we want to show me, like, listen, here are the mistakes we made in the first few years of business. Here's how we can help you get past them. Here are the things that you need to know with an inventory base, or your service-based idea, and go from there. So, we've constantly been pushing it, but the push is going to pick up here in about the next 30 days very aggressively.
And that's rhinoden.com?
Rhinoden.com. Search veteran entrepreneur. Or I think it's actually still in the scrolling menu. I will double check that and shoot you an email.
I need to do a blog post too on the blog. So
I will get you the link.
All right, Tommy. Hey, it's good to see you out here.
Good to Ranger competition. Good to see you, brother. Always.
All right.
Gallant Fuse, the new American veteran, is proud to be part of the Vets on Media Network. All right, now I'm going to call up Command Sergeant Major retired Eddie Noland. And
welcome to free conference. Please input your followed by the pound key.
Let's hope I do this right.
At the tone, please record your name for announcement to the call organizer, and then press the pound key to enter your conference.
Hi, this is Carl Munger.
You will now enter the conference.
Hey, hello, Carl Munger. Is anybody there?
Hey, Carl. Yes, Eddie's here.
Eddie, hey, it's good to talk to you. Welcome. You are live on the New American Veteran.
Okay, great.
And I've got Ann Bardwell here with me also from Hope for the Warriors.
Hey, Eddie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ann?
Fabulous.
I love technology. This is awesome. So, Eddie, you it seems like just yesterday you were still on active duty.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months, but every good thing has to come to an end, I guess. You got to move on to the next chapter. So
yeah. So, what are you doing now? What's this organization that you're chief operating officer, if I remember right?
Right now, I'm with Legion Operating Training Group. It's a facility down in Blakely, Georgia, that offers pretty much full spectrum training for military, law enforcement. About anything you can think of, we have down here right now.
I am, Ann, why don't you talk to him for just a minute? I'm pulling up a slideshow of Legion Operator Training Group capabilities. You guys sent me a presentation, and I'm going to let that run while we're talking so that everybody doesn't just have to look at me.
So how long have you been doing that, and what do you do within that group? What is the mission and the goals?
Man, she's a tough question.
The mission of us is to provide the best training facility that we can for law enforcement and military. I've been actually working down here since October, November of last year. Currently, I'm the COO of the company. Mark Masoner is the CEO. And really, our mission and purpose is to provide a facility for, like I said, military and law enforcement to come down here and be able to execute any type of training that they wish.
Is Mark there with you?
He is, yes.
Hey, Mark, welcome to the show as well. You're another Ranger veteran, if I remember right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Carl.
So, Mark, how long have you been off active duty?
I got off in '94.
And
Long time, Carl.
Yeah, we've talked about your facility out there before too. But I'm looking at your presentation. You got 60-foot rappel rescue tower. You got a live fire shooting house. You have a pretty phenomenal facility out there in the middle of Georgia.
Yes, sir. We're trying to build it, and we're adding to it every day. Trying to stay ahead of what the soldiers and our law enforcement guys, what they need. It's tough sometimes trying to stay in front of them.
Yeah, and trying to figure out what the next threat is, and then develop the training to be able to do that. Is that primarily, are you training mostly law enforcement or military, or is it about 50-50 or what?
Right now we're doing probably 75-80% of it is military. Law enforcement is coming together, and it's starting to become it's starting to move our way. It's been a process though. We had to get out and try to market it and let everybody know that we were at a point on the facility where we were ready to actually take people. So we've been building like crazy for 2.5 years, and now it's time to start the business side of it, I guess.
What part of the facility are you guys most proud of? You can say 2 or 3 if you get stumped. Yeah. What are you most proud? What when somebody says, "Man, what's the coolest thing?" Or what's the one thing that jumps out in your mind as being I mean, I'm looking at, you got drop zones, you got a 5,000-foot runway, you got known and unknown ranges.
I think everything is pretty phenomenal from what we do. We made it where you could do an assortment of things that you can't do anywhere else. But the thing that I really take a lot of pride in is our 1,000-yard range. Guys built that out and did a fantastic job. They've got less than 1 degree of declination from the firing point to the targets. It's kind of our centerpiece, and that's how we designed it, and we're real proud of it.
Very nice. Now, so how did you guys get connected with Hope for the Warriors?
Well, really, Mark grew up in 2nd Ranger Battalion, and I try not to hold that against him every day, but Pat McElrath is a Ranger buddy of his, and he reached out to us and asked if we would help support this. So obviously we're not going to tell a former Ranger no by any means. And anytime we can get together, with our military background and help wounded warriors out, we're going to jump all over the opportunity. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us. All it took was a phone call, and we were in as much as we could possibly, give for this.
So what is the event that you guys are doing? What is this something that's open to the public if somebody wants to make a donation, come out and participate, or is this something where you're bringing some active duty or some veteran Rangers out to participate in an event? Can you kind of describe what's going on there?
Right now, it's set up for wounded warriors to come down and just enjoy a weekend of turkey hunting with some professionals. I know that Mossy Oak and Hope for the Warriors are sponsoring this event. We're really just hosting it. So I know that they're bringing in the turkey callers, and we've got a couple of local guys that's going to help us that can help us find where the turkeys are on the property, and then make sure that these guys go home with some feathers. That's the intent. Our part of it's kind of minimal. We're going to host it. We'll give them a place to stay, give them a facility to shoot on, and just take good care of them and be the host.
And you look like you were going to ask a question there.
Well, no, I did want to say that, it isn't an open event, because this is something that, these guys are doing a lot of work to prepare for these guys coming out. And in order to really make sure that this hunting event gives everything back to those service members that it needs to, we have to be able, there's a lot of planning in place, planning that I can't, hey, I'm just here in the office talking to you. I can't even imagine all of the work that they're doing to make this a successful weekend and safe, enjoyable, and bringing home some turkeys.
So what you're telling me though is you are doing the opposite of what most organizations do. They want to bring out a ranger or a wounded ranger, and they want to get him on TV and take pictures and say, hey, donate some money for this guy. Give us $19 a month, and but that's not what you guys are doing. You're doing this event just for them.
Yeah, we're pretty low key on that, and I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times when we have those open events.
You gotta raise money.
You know, we have to raise those funds, and there are times when we're inviting members of the public along with wounded service members, and we are asking for those donations. But this is not one of those weekends. This is this is a time where those guys can go and they can relax. They are not there to represent us. They're there to be themselves. Build relationships with, you touched on it earlier. It's important for veterans to be able to network with other veterans who are in who are in the same place with them, and that's what this is all about.
I don't know if it was Mark or Eddie that said earlier, hey, when a ranger asks you to do something, you don't say no. That right there is, in a nutshell, the philosophy of everything that started Gallant Few, because you have a ranger that's coming home, transition, and needs a little bit of assistance. You're not going to say no. I mean, I've called guys up and I've said, hey, there's a ranger that might be homeless tomorrow in your neighborhood, and they're like, where is he? I'm going to go pick him up right now. That's just the way our community is. And I think it's not just the rangers that are like that. It's every type community within the military is like that. If I get somebody that served on the USS Arizona, gosh, that's an old one. That's probably a bad example. But, if the USS, I don't know, Timbuktu, then, because I'm not Navy, that's why I'm no good at the Navy stuff. But if they connect with another USS Timbuktu veteran, they're going to do everything they can to help the other one out, and that's what it's all about. That's awesome. There was something else that just popped into my head then while you were talking about that. Oh, if somebody listens to this and they go, you know what, I know it's not a fundraising event, but I'd like to help out or donate. How can they do that?
Well, they can easily go to hopeforthewarriors.org and go to our donation page. And if they specifically want to donate to, and this would be called Outdoor Adventures, if they specifically want to donate to that, there is a place they can designate that. And we encourage that. We know that people have a connection in certain sports or in certain areas, and that's important to them.
Okay, hey, back to the Legion guys. Do you guys have any events out there if somebody says, I'd like to come out on a weekend and shoot? Do you have like an open event where somebody can just come out, pay $100 or something, and get on the range?
We do have some events on the weekend. Most of them are posted on our website. It's we run a lady program where it teaches we spend the day teaching ladies how to handle a weapon and shoot. We offer some courses like that, but most of it's on the civilian sector as far as the safe weapons handling and those kind of events.
And what's your website?
It's www.legionotg.com.
legionotg.com. And I put that on the blog that I wrote too. If you look at gallantfew.blogspot.com, you'll find links to those sites on there. Guys, anything else you want to share with us today before we take you off the line?
Call. Thank you. This is Mark. I appreciate you taking the time to let us talk to you.
Hey, you bet. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Best of luck to you, and I hope you get a lot of folks coming out there to shoot. Thanks for what you're doing with the Rangers too. That's I'd like to see some pictures when you guys are done. Get me some turkey hunting pictures, and I'll put those up on the blog as well.
I'll put it on our website too.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Hey.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
One of the things that I've always tried to, my philosophy with
Eddie and Mark
has left the conference.
Oh, I thought I hung up already. Elvis has left the building, and we're still here. There we go. Now we're gone. One of the things that has been my constant philosophy is that taking care of veterans is not a competition. There is more work out there that anybody can do, and we all have to work together. We have to support each other, and we can be so complementary in what we do. And it's hard stuff when you get right down to going eyeball to eyeball with a veteran that has an issue. It is hard to help them. It is difficult to look a spouse in the eye and say, no, I can't do that, or yes, I can do this, or let's talk about what's going on. Give me an idea of, if you can, how many veterans or family members do you work with on a annual. Let's talk a little bit more about
absolutely.
Hope for the Warriors. We didn't do that much.
No, and I love the opportunity. You know, we're still finalizing numbers for 2013, and just because, you know, auditing and all of that. So I'm going to talk 2012 numbers, but it's probably not going to be a lot different. We helped in one way or another more than 4,500 families in the year of 2012. In the life of our organization, families, and I always refer to families because if we help a service member, it is inevitably helping that family as well. Bottom line, if we help a service member pay rent that month, guess what? He's next to his wife and kids or spouse and kids, and so it is the family. We always refer to families, and it can be in one form or another. It could have been going on a hunting trip. It could have been helping them pay rent while they're transitioning and they're waiting for VA benefits to kick in. It could be...
Which is a crazy problem.
crazy problem. It could be that we worked with them through our social workers and worked through getting advocacy and getting support services. So, you know, that in some cases is the best help we give is our staff time, where we might not write a check, but we have expertise on our staff that is making sure that their problem is solved. It could be in the way of a career seminar. It could be in the way of donating a hand cycle. There are a lot of different ways, and we work with 4 main pillars. And clinical health and wellness, that's where our social workers really work in intensive case management. Sports and recreation, which is hunting, is one of those. Our career transition and employment, that's, you know, pretty obvious, and community and military relations. And that is where that network comes in that you're talking about, working with other nonprofits, working within the community organizations. There are a lot of people who want to help veterans. We got to work together to make it smart. We got to work. You have to work smarter.
And we do a pretty good job of vetting each other too. You know, there are so many out there that can take advantage. You hear about people all the time going to jail because they put together a mailer and, you know, made $5 or $6 million. I still haven't figured out how they do that. I think if you do it honestly, it doesn't work, but if you do it dishonestly, it does.
Yeah, and you know, there are times when I will have people reach out to me and they'll mention something, and you know, I'm always very cautious, but I will say, you know, I haven't heard of them, or I do not have an experience with them, or I do, or, you know, and but if I've had a good experience with another nonprofit, I'll be very quick to share that with you.
So where do you provide your services? Is it all over the place, or are you particular metropolitan areas?
It's all over the country. Now, we do have offices in specific locations, and that is in North Carolina, the Washington metro area, New York City. We have an office in Houston, and then, you know, I'm based here in Fort Worth. And we have representatives all over the country, but the bottom line is, with technology today, we can help anyone, anywhere. And that's really what's up. You know, there's some cases where we might be able to meet you in person, and other places that's not the case, but if there's a need, we can help someone no matter where they are.
One of the things that I started here in Dallas, just kind of by accident here, a year ago, when we had just moved here last June, so it wasn't even a year ago, but I was joking with my wife coming out off of my hip replacement that I needed a place where I could do yoga, and I like to do indoor rock climbing. So if I can only find a Cloga gym, then, you know, I'd be good to go. And then I took a wrong turn one day, went down a back road over by DFW Airport, and lo and behold, Summit Climbing in Grapevine was right there. So I pulled in, and oh my gosh, they do yoga classes too. So I found my Cloga gym. But I climbed there for a couple of months, and then I bumped into another veteran that was there. And then I thought, well, you know what? I wonder how could I set up a program there where I could bring some veterans in and they could climb with me, but they wouldn't have to pay for it because, you know, I want to do an outreach thing. So I went up to the manager and I said, hey, would it be okay if I bring a veteran in here to climb with me when I climb, but not, you know, it's like $20 to rent the gear and the shoes and get on the wall and stuff. And he said, yeah, 1 or 2, not a problem. Just bring them with you. You know, they can come in with you. Well, then we ended up with like 4. So I went, and he wanted to, you know, I was overloading them just a little bit. So what I did was I bumped up to like a corporate membership. So now I can bring in 4 or 5 veterans at a time, and they can climb. And the reason I'm going through all this is because, well, number one, if you have any other veterans here that would like to go climb, it is an awesome deal, and I'd love to have them come in Tuesday and Thursday evening at Summit and Grapevine. The other thing is, if you're listening to this and you're in, I don't know, little town in Illinois or Iowa or someplace, and you're trying to figure out how can you help other veterans, go in. If you like to do something, if you like to golf, or if you like to run, or if you like to whatever, go into where you do that activity out of. If you like to rock climb, go talk to the manager and say, hey, I'd like to put a sign up if there are any of the veterans. Maybe they can come in and they can climb with me. And what you start to do is you start to build the network from the community up. And the major problem that I have with the current transition system is it's all top down. So they're forcing things down your throat, and then in Killeen, Texas, when you go through your TAP program, and then they send you to Los Angeles. And now all of a sudden you got to figure out, does the stuff they gave me in Texas work in Los Angeles? And it's not geared towards the community. But if people local in the community are coming together and helping other veterans, then it's going to be bottom up. It's going to be community driven, and it can be customized to every individual location.
Well, and you're mobilizing your community, your local businesses, your small businesses, your individuals who want to help that veteran. They might never be, they're never going to be a national business. That doesn't mean they can't help. It doesn't mean they don't want to help. They can't maybe support it in the same way, I'm trying to think of a company that's doing huge, they're not going to have a national radio advertisement talking about how they're bringing jobs to veterans, but it doesn't mean they're not doing their part.
No, that's exactly right. You know what? We got to talking about that, and we're right up at the end of the hour.
Remember,
I told you earlier
it does
would
go
fast.
fast.
It goes a lot faster than
I didn't
you think.
tweet nearly as much as I was supposed to.
I'm not even going to try and go there while I'm doing everything else here. I forgot to start the record button on the MP3 version of this show. So until like 15 minutes in, and I was like, oh, so I had to hit the record button. So if you're listening to this on the podcast archive, I apologize if you don't catch the first 15 minutes. I'm going to see if the geniuses at Vets on Media can maybe fix that for me. I do want to thank Vets on Media for inviting the New American Veteran to be part of their network of veteran shows across the country. We're very proud to be there, and we hope to be able to continue and help them expand that. Please share the word. Let people know about this show. It is real easy to find us if you go to vetsonmedia.com/TNAW for the New American Veteran. You're going to find us. Join us next week. We're here every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Central. You can watch live on YouTube if you really like to watch live. I don't know why people would want to watch me talking into a microphone, but apparently there's some attraction to that. And you can also watch, this will be archived on YouTube, so you can pull it up and watch it anytime you want. If you would like to appear on the show, or if you're interested in helping sponsor part of the show, email tnav@gallantfew.org. God bless those rough men and women who stand ready in the night to visit violence on those who would do us harm. And one for the Airborne Ranger in the sky.